That was something. Anything else?
Ken, Ann has a question, but you're getting a little, the phone is a little scratchy. I don't know if you can get closer to it or what. But Ann has a question for you here.
Okay.
You mentioned some great things about what a professional officer he was, and he was very kind, and he made sure that you were fed and all that. So going along those same lines, I just want to know, did he have any idiosyncrasies or anything about, anything that he did have it? And then, two, did he have a sense of humor?
Yes, he did, but most of the time, he was a real West Pointer. And he was not like Patton. Even though he was a provost marshal for Patton before he came up, he had no reputation like Patton. Patton was a rough, tough, men didn't like him. But with Colonel MacDonald was just the opposite. Everybody liked him. I don't think he ever had anybody that ever said a bad word about him. But it was just the opposite with Patton, where he came from. He served under Patton. Patton was rough with not only the enlisted men, but he was also rough with his officers. Where Colonel MacDonald, I think he treated everybody the same, whether he was an enlisted man or an officer. And I never seen him lose his temper. But he could be very stern. He did have a good sense of humor, especially after the war when we went around to the cemeteries and stuff like that. He could joke and everything good. But during the war, he was more or less business, and that was his business. You know what I mean? I hope I helped you there. Go ahead, on.
Okay, something that he would do all the time? Anything? We're kind of looking at the human aspect of him.
I can't hear you, honey. Hold on a minute. He's going to see if he can get this a little louder.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to go right to the phone.
Okay.
I'm kind of looking,
Just a minute.
Any habits that he would do? Anything? Did he sing?
Mark's trying to get it louder for us, hon. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ann.
I'm just wondering if he had any particular habits. Did he sing? Did he hum? Did he talk about his family? Did he smoke?
Any habits or quirks or anything like that?
No. He didn't eat regularly, I'll tell you that. Well, I didn't either. So, but he ate good, especially when we were back like liaison back or at 7th Corps headquarters, which was where we were under all the time. He ate good there. But he always made sure, like I said before, I always had a place to sleep and a place to eat. And he made sure of that before he did himself. Now that's something for an enlisted man to have an officer that high up in the commanding officer to do that for you, But I guess he wanted to make sure he got home again too, back to our quarters.
How about the riding crop? Did he use that a lot?
Yes, he did.
I think she wants.
The main thing is the riding quirt, and also he did not wear a regular like the other officers. He wore his boots and breeches a lot, and for that matter, Col Tully did too, but not as much as Colonel MacDonald. But Colonel MacDonald was always, whenever he thought that he was going to be, I suppose, in a real battle, that he wanted to have his boots and breeches on that quirt. That quirt, I never thought, he's always had that in his hand. Every time he got in the Jeep, that was the first thing he had in his hand. And his gloves. He had his gloves rolled up in one hand, the quirt in the other. That's the way he walked around. And whenever we went back to headquarters, or anything like that, he was always well dressed, shaved all the time, shaved every day. I never seen him with a beard, and he was looked up. In other words, he was a commanding officer that you had no quarrels with. He was a very, very down-to-earth person, but also a 4th cavalryman right from the beginning. And I'm glad that he came up to our outfit.
Did he have guns or a sword?
No, he only had one gun. He wasn't like Pat with 2 guns. And trying to think of anything else. And he shared with me, like the one time there, I told you, he says, you got one? I said, yeah, I got a P-38, and I think this was a Luger. And he said, you take the Luger. And, he didn't have to do that. He could just put that in his bag and took that with him, too, for home. But he didn't. He shared. And I appreciate all that. I appreciate the whole thing, my service with him. I really did. And I
Yeah,
did,
let me tell you a couple of things.
and I don't know if you. Go ahead.
You hear me?
I can't hear. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Go ahead. Is this John?
Yeah, this is John. We still have his riding boots that he wore in World War II. My brother has them and has polished them up there in Colorado.
Ah, wonderful.
We
How
had
about
a
how?
Luger.
Yeah.
We had a Luger that he brought home.
Okay.
I got it from Dad. I think it's the Luger you talked about with a young German lieutenant shot through his,
That's right.
trench coat.
Yep, you got that right. I can remember that just as,
Shot through his,
yeah, just like it was
shot
yesterday.
through his trench coat. Unfortunately, it got stolen a number of years ago in a move. Tried to track it down. I haven't been able to find it. And we have his riding crop still.
That's it. Isn't that something? Now the trench coat, I never seen him wear that. He never had that. He had a combat.
Okay.
No, he had a combat jacket like mine, and also officers. We found out that an officer would have a white stripe down the back of your helmet, and a non-com would have it sideways. And we found out early enough in the war that you didn't wear that because that was a sniper's bullseye. So we got there. He, as a matter of fact, he was the one that got rid of that for us. But the trench coat, I never seen him on that. But the riding cord is the one I was telling you. The riding crop is the one that he carried all the time and directed the tanks with. In if I remember, it was in Christmas Day of '44. You know, in the Humane. Yeah, that was it. Isn't that something? You know, and those boots. That's the boots. Are probably the same ones that he had then during World War II. You know. And the Luger, I can remember, that was the first lieutenant of the German army. Actually, it was a Nazi elite. It was not a regular German officer. It was elite Nazi.
The SS?
Hitler's. Did you hear that, John?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It did have some Hitler SS stamps on the Luger when we had it. I remember seeing it.
Right, because that's what he was. Yep, you're right there. Yep, it was marked right on it probably. Yep. Isn't that something? Yep. I'm so glad you got that in the family. I'm going to have Mark take a picture of the map, and I think you already got the commendation, a picture of that, and then also of the logo of it. So the bug, we call them bugs, and the 4th Cavalry. And do you have the history?
Yes, I do have the history of the 4th Cavalry.
It's about 2 inches thick, really thick, and it's all on the old paper that we had back then. And mine was rolled up so I could send it to my wife, and it took me a few months to get it straightened out. I kept putting heavy books on it to straighten it out, you know, so I could get it in a box. And right now my grandson has it, and I got to get it back to him so the guys here can see it. And I'm glad you got that. That's got an awful lot into it. I think the 4th Cavalry started in March the 26th of 1856, if I'm right. I think I am. Actually, it was the 1st Cavalry, and then Washington D.C. changed it from the 1st to the 4th, and why I don't know, but that's the way I understood it. The history. We're also down in Washington, also in West Point. There's a library in West Point. And the 4th Cavalry is very well noted down there in West Point. If you ever get to West Point, look at the history in the library and look up the 4th Cavalry. I've been very proud of. Do you get the 4th Cavalry spur? John?
I don't. You all have a 4th Cavalry newsletter, is that right?
Yeah, the newsletter. It comes out 4 times a year. And Brenda Williams, she lives out in Gillette, Wyoming. I'm going to have Mark send you that address, and it's $15 a year for dues, and it doesn't have very much in it, but there's quite a bit. You know, every once in a while there'll be something in it about somebody. And once in a while I recognize somebody I knew back then. And very, very nice talking to you all. I just can't believe this yet. It's something that I never thought in my years that I would ever be able to do it. But thank you all for talking with me.
Yeah, it's great. We're very thrilled to be able to talk to you. Thank you for your time this afternoon. We appreciate the 45 minutes you've given us, and as we develop more, we can do this again.
Wonderful. I hope to be around so we can do it again. Okay? And here's Mark. Thank you very much for everything now, all of you. Bye now. Here's Mark.
You too, Ken.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for taking care of our grandfathers.
Jeez. Can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Exactly.
Did I do it right?